Church. It's good to chat with you a little bit today. I wanted to give you a heads up on what's going to be happening on Sunday. We're starting into the new Jonah sermon series. Why Jonah? I mean, we just finished up with a quick run through Galatians after a long stretch of the Gospel of Matthew. So it seemed like heading to the Old Testament for something would be an appropriate place for us to go. And as I prayed about it, as I thought about it, I was really led to prophets. Started looking through the prophets, and Jonah jumped out at me. This is the Brazos Theological Commentary on the Bible, the Jonah edition, and it's one of the texts that I'll be using to look at. It's not a biblical commentary, it's a theological commentary. You may ask, what's the difference? And that's a really good question. The difference between a theological commentary and a biblical commentary is that a theological commentary deals with the theological issues taking place in the text. Now, that's not to say that a biblical commentary doesn't do some of that. This is another that I'll be using. This is the word biblical commentary on Jonah. And it is a technical resource. It's going to assume you know a little bit of Hebrew, that you know how to use the scholarly sources that are part of the text. Now, it's going to deal with language issues. It's going to deal with word usage. It's going to deal with grammar. It's going to bring in some history and those kind of more concrete issues. The theological commentary raises questions about the theology that's going on. And while there's some really interesting stuff we can talk about with the historicity of Jonah and the time that it's set in, and these are all things we'll talk about at some point, probably more through Sunday school than during worship, but be that as it may, it's part of the way that we'll be approaching this. So why Jonah? Why this text right now? Well, it's short enough. I think we can get through this by the time we get to Christmas and move into an Advent season. And in Advent, we'll be trying to do some things that are appropriate for Advent, as well as dealing with coronavirus restraints. So, yeah, I don't know what White Gift's going to look like or what our Christmas season will be like, but we'll be looking at some texts that are appropriate for the season. But in the meantime, Jonah deals with some interesting questions that I think are appropriate for us to be wrestling with in this time. Now, we are approaching Election Day 2020, and part of the difficulty in the book of Jonah is a misplaced sense of nationalism. That God is just for the Israelites. And while that has been very true at points, Jonah is more concerned about Israel than about people in general. And that's a problem. Misplaced nationalism wraps up our faith and our patriotism so that the faith now serves the state. And that's a really dangerous thing, and I don't want us to be anywhere near that. So as we look at this season, I do want us to really examine what it means for us to be part of the state in which we live, the United States of America, but to recognize that our citizenship, our primary citizenship, is first and foremost in the kingdom of God. And so what is that? How do those two coexist? For Jonah, it meant that his nation was more important than the mission of God. So he felt that the mission that God had called him to would threaten his nation. And so he chose to serve his nation rather than his God. We sometimes get caught in this as well and don't recognize the reality of how dangerous letting our faith and our patriotism merge. And in doing that, we create a very dangerous monster. So that's what brought me here. Now, secondary issues. Another reason Jonah doesn't want to go is he's expressing some real racial prejudice. Yeah, he doesn't think that the people of Nineveh are worthy of God. So he's not going to go. Even though God said to go, he hates these people. He does not want them to be saved. Even though God said go and do this, he said, no, I'm going to run away from you and do what I want to do, and that's it. So we have issues of nationalism, we have issues of race, we have questions of international politics, and where God fits into all of this. And sometimes we forget that God is part of this question. Friends, I hope you're having a great day. Look forward to seeing you on Sunday. This is just a little bit of what we'll be working with. Have a wonderful